Mm, 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 mm.
But can they deliver the shawarma, by the way?
My dear, it's 40 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
So now me they carry my leg go there. And I'm even thinking that I will add gizzard or turkey. I don't really know yet.
Like
Yeah.
I love it.
Is it like pepper turkey or like
Yeah,
turkey
but
wings?
I'm not the biggest turkey fan, but I'm thinking let me just try it for the fun and games.
Ooh, smoked
turkey is
turkey,
beautiful.
smoked
As
one.
in-
Oh God, that's
I
what
used to like
even
chicken
more.
until I had turkey. I'm
No,
like,
even more than chicken. I eat
back.
turkey more than chicken. Well, I
Yeah.
never really liked chicken, so that's turkey is bay.
Okay, I think
premium
okay,
stuff.
I'm gonna get some pepper turkey. Pepper
I
turkey
even
with
wanted to
now.
order it. It's like, let me just, because I've been spending money on food. Let me just do the one at home. I beg. The economy is tough.
Anyway, ladies, welcome to yet another episode. I am Olori.
Yes, welcome.
I am Eka. Hello, guys.
And I'm FA. Sup.
Okay, we haven't had a baby girl in a minute.
I've
In a
noticed.
minute. In a minute.
She
Anyway.
has been FA like a British girl or something.
Different things.
France and Italy. Forza, what's that word again? Forza specially, Abi?
For that she's special.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I want to start this. I do have a walk rant, but let me just leave that one for it because I'm exhausted. Let's start with Hisbah Police or Arewa Youth Council.
Mm.
This is just like a gist because apparently I think Buhari's son just got married to I think the daughter of the emir of
Yeah.
one of those emirs. I think Bayero is the emir's name or something. And to be honest, I was really taken aback when I saw her. I think it was meant to be like either her bridal shower. You know how they have like several events, several wedding events where they get married. So I think either the bridal shower or
Yeah.
one of the wedding events, she wore what would be like a traditional white wedding gown, and it was off shoulder, so like her entire like neck and shoulders were exposed, so no cleavage or anything, but like exposed. And as far as I know, that is a no from a northern cultural standpoint, let alone the emir's daughter, let alone the president's daughter-in-law, right?
Yeah.
And there was no backlash from Hisbah. If you will recall, our auntie Rahama Bikilokwe, that's the Kannywood actress, she wore open back, and it was there was police, there was backlash on social media. They came for her, and we didn't see the same amount of coming for this girl, also for this president's in-law. Also apparently Ribadu's
daughter
also wore something similar, where it was like off shoulder type of I can't know how was even like one hand strap, and there was some cleavage, there was some slit in the middle for a potential cleavage review, and nobody raised any alarms on that. So for me, like, in my opinion, I think both women were still modestly dressed, in my opinion. But I think that from a Hisbah Police Arewa Youth standpoint, you pull backlash anything that seems to be revealing shoulder is a backlash, right? To the extent that you are even banning mannequins from being it's true now, mannequins from being displayed in shops because they were, I guess, attracting immoral conduct. So how come we didn't hear the backlash? Which kind of leads to this idea that sometimes, like, when a religion is oppressive, it seems to be oppressive just to hold down the poor.
Yeah.
The rich have their own walkarounds. And even in
crazy.
Christianity, some were saying that is he allowed to wear? It was a tweet that are you allowed to wear earring in church? Someone said that in RCCG Oshodi, no. RCCG New York, yes. So it depends on where you are.
And it's crazy because religion shouldn't have this kind of divide. It should be one, like, religion is not like politics or something. Like, it should be one universal for everybody. But unfortunately, what can we say? Once you're poor, once you're rich, you can get away with everything.
And the reason why this I guess left an impression on me is I think there's so much that holds the North back that is based on religion. And I think that
Yes,
maybe this is why it's good to not educate people that you want to oppress. Because for me, I feel like as a northern girl, you should say that why is it that Rahama was dragged? Why is it that I will be dragged? I did the same thing. And you know, Ribadu's daughter, Buhari's daughter-in-law, how come they're not dragged? If this is really about religion. I don't know why that thought doesn't really marinate in their minds to push back on some of these, you know, because there's so much oppression in the name of religion, and I don't see enough of them back, you know, fighting back. I don't know how to like.
Yeah, but then that's because most of them are not educated, Abby.
Many of them aren't, but I think education goes beyond just the
and exposed. They're not exposed. Also,
I think exposed is the word, because education is relative, right? I've heard someone say that the fact that I'm not Westernly educated doesn't mean that I'm not educated, right?
Yeah.
I think that was a fair point, because I think one I think was it Sadi that was making a point where like a doctor may not be able to speak English, but they can speak Arabic and Hausa very well. So if they can still perform the science of the medicine, then they should be allowed to practice. English should not be the barrier, right? So I get that. I get that argument there, right? But if they're not exposed, they don't even know what an alternate life looks like, because it is bad for them to see those, you know. I'm not Lagos has an immoral, coding to them. So they don't want, you know, maybe let them really understand or see what's happening in Lagos, because you will be corrupted. But because they're not exposed, they can't see what an alternate life can be.
Yes, that's just it.
I think even before the exposure, what will I call it? The doctrine or the brainwashing is that every other thing is evil. So by the time they get exposed and reach whether Lagos, for example, or even Abuja, you're already looking at it as evil. So it's like you coming, like all your life now, you've been coming from what do you call it, deeper life, where your brain has been set that everything around you that is not of what you're doing is evil. So by the time they even get the expose yourself, they're already guarding themselves because they believe that that is evil. Except you want to be a bad person and say, let me just step out and understand from that perspective. But you're already seeing it as negative, as bad. That's
exactly.
You're even saying the Sharia court or whatever. Is it Sharia? What?
Hisbah police.
Hisbah police is not this thing. My own is that I was in shock that Buhari, because excuse me, this is Buhari. Buhari is very, very, he's like a godfather of putting the rules or the religion. I'm even surprised that this is Buhari's daughter-in-law that we are seeing like this. I can't believe she was allowed.
Even the girl's father is also an emir, which is also, a custodian of the cultural norms.
No, I don't even know her father's this thing, but I know that Buhari himself is very, very, for the, this thing, for the tradition. So I was surprised though to see.
To be honest, I remember one time in deeper life, because there was a time, I think it was the pastor's son that got married. I don't think he has daughters. I think either her son or daughter. Someone was doing a wedding and it was not in Nigeria. And the girl, I think she wore earrings or she permed her hair. I think she either permed her hair. She either permed her hair or she wore earrings. One of those things. And people were like, but if someone comes to the church, like, you people will criticize the person and say, oh, you should not wear this, you should not do this to your hair. So how come pastor is allowing his son,
It's
so it's like, I don't.
They would not let you, because there's a code of conduct.
That's the thing, they won't let you marry
They approve your dress. So you
exactly.
cannot show up.
And this is something people, Exactly. This is something people have been saying for a while, that it's about exposure. Just because you don't like something, or because you think, oh, you can say, oh, don't do this, don't do this, why is it not going to apply to you or your house? Because you have to start from your own household before you start saying, oh, people should not. So to imagine that Buhari is even one of the godfathers is like, I don't even understand what I don't know, but it's just
But to me, I don't know that. To me, I don't think you have to be exposed. And this is where I sometimes make this argument. I don't think you have to be exposed or educated to recognize unfairness, if that makes sense.
you have
Right?
to. I
You
think you have
know
to.
that if you wore this dress, they would drag you for life. But she wore this dress, and I think Hisbah even put out a statement, and it was very, very like almost like how that Sheikh Gumi talks about bandits. Very like, well, she should know better, very, very, just giving like a general advice, but we can't do
Yeah.
anything about it, right? But if it was a local girl, you would have stormed that wedding midway through
Yeah.
and disgraced her. So for me, as a mass, someone of the masses, I feel like you should say that, okay, this something doesn't feel right here. And I don't think that you need to have a degree or be exposed to realize that no, in this case they did A, in this case they did B. Why?
I think you have to be exposed.
No, even if you're not exposed and you say something doesn't feel right, okay, open your mouth now, let them beat you. How many
That's
of you are saying it? It's the same way that people like we sit down and say it is unfair what maybe politicians are doing, stealing money. Okay, how many of us have actually now, like, you need volume, and by
it's
the
true. It's
time
the
you go
same
and talk
thing.
to the next person now, they will say, keep quiet, don't you know those people are the organs of the town giving us money? There are so many little things, and then by the time you just shut up and you say, let me just manage, at least I'm alive, at least nobody is stoning me, that kind of thing.
But the other thing, now that you mentioned that, the other thing that I think helps perpetuate this system is that there are many beneficiaries, and I will explain in the case of, like, let me use like this Hisbah, whatever, for example, right? You're already disenfranchised as a woman in this community, right? Now, so yes, they may be unfair to you in this case, but there's many things about Hisbah that may be unfair, or Hisbah may be seeming to protect the rich and not and oppress the poor. But there's also a lot of patriarchal things that Hisbah does. Do you get what I'm saying? That protects the man and doesn't protect the woman. So it's hard for your protectors who are men to fight for you. Do you get what I'm saying? Because even though they may not agree with Hisbah on this particular issue, they agree with Hisbah on other matters, right? Which is why I feel like sometimes it's hard for these things to be changed. So even like on the corruption angle, for example, there are many Nigerians who are okay with stealing once they get there. And to me, I think that's the fundamental issue, right? That once I get there, meet with thief. So as in that's normal. It's a normal stuff, right? So it's hard for you to come out in, because all these contracts, NDDC contracts, is not only the NDDC chairman that stole that money. They had boys and girls that they were siphoning things too. There was an alleged side chick of Akpabio, right? That was running some contract. So when the benefits of a bad system are so widespread, it's hard for people to, what's the word now, revolt against it. But there's a
But I
culture
also
of
feel like
anyhowness.
I think it also helps us to revolt, I guess. Like when you're exposed and you go to maybe more developed countries and you see how things should be, the more educated and exposed your populace is, I feel like the more, I don't know, to an extent, I don't even know. To be honest, I don't even think you have to be exposed. But anyways, I feel it helps, sure.
No, but maybe you make a question. I think even China, the reason why China doesn't allow just anything to come in, right?
Yes.
Because they know that they are over 1 billion people, so you don't want a revolt by over 1 billion people, right?
Exactly.
But also, if they get a wind too much of what's happening in other zones, right? They may same thing with them, North Korea. I don't think you're even allowed to leave the country, like without any proper reason for why you are leaving the country, and you must come back. And if you don't come back, your family will be put in sport camps.
Yeah.
I think whoever is controlling the narrative, they are very smart at manipulating the
Yeah.
minds, because this thing is not even like, it's not even like the punishment of the court, the sharia, is the mind. You've
That's
manipulated the
true.
mind so much that you're making people do things, even to the extent that they even make it even more, I don't know how to put it, they even overdo it more than you expected them to do. Like the indoctrination of these
Mm-hmm.
people are so much that even now a lot of the masses will see, a lot of the northern masses or the Arewa youth will see maybe Buhari's daughter-in-law wearing this outfit. And because it
Mm-hmm.
is Buhari, a leader, a this thing, they will give excuse for it,
Mm.
regardless of the fact that on a normal day it is wrong. It's just a matter of you being the 1%, and then the other people being the 99%. That is just sad, because most of the laws that are created, a lot of the time, a lot of the rich or the influential, it doesn't affect them. So it's that kind of thing of it only affects those, most of the time it only affects the masses. And the masses sometimes are too blind to see that they are the ones that actually have the power, because this is one man against plenty people. But
Yeah.
money or whatever will oppress you, or the way they've put it in your mind. Because
And when you throw a religious coloring on it, like how would you argue with
Mm-hmm.
God?
yeah, because like I keep on asking the question, how is it that when there has been religious fights in some certain northern states, I will speak from Kaduna, from what I've experienced, these people, these people that go on the street and do the havoc, or even political rallies, these people that go on the street and do the havoc, what they are gaining is so small, and the people commanding them, they are sitting in their house and
Yeah.
commanding and putting these
Mm-hmm.
things in their head, and these people are going to fight. Sometimes they will die, they are the ones killing, they are the ones having the bloodshed in their hand, but
Mm-hmm.
they still go and do it. How is it that one day you not sit down and think that, come on, this thing self, what is the meaning of the, you understand? It's like, uh,
Mm-hmm.
guy, where is the brain that you're using to think that, is this thing even meaningful? How come this man did not bring his child to come and do this thing? Is you. But it is
Yeah.
that kind of thing of, I don't know, the mind, the human mind just works in a certain way that once it has been put in your head,
But
you
maybe
just
You
you
believe
don't
just
it.
feel
believe it,
like,
and
yeah, because I was going to say that to your point on the mind issue, because like let's take like the Kaduna issue for example, the precursor to that they've probably painted the other side as the
Exactly.
one, the reason why all these things are bad are happening to you. They've already
Yes.
painted, even in like Nigerian movies, they will first paint that is your wife, she's holding your destiny, is your mother,
mm-hmm.
somebody. So they will
Mm-hmm.
first paint that person, paint the other side as a bad person before they now ask you to execute. So in your mind you're fighting
Yeah.
for your own self, not
Mm,
for them, right?
And that's why I feel like exposure and education are important, yeah. Because if you're exposed, if you've been able to, because people have a preconceived notion, oh, this is this or this person. But if you've had the chance to be in that situation or to meet, if it's a tribal thing or race thing, you've maybe lived with a certain race, then you realize that, oh yeah, some people are bad, some are good, or some religions are, or some people are fanatics, some are actually normal. So I feel like education, that's where education and exposure comes in, sure. Because if
yes.
you're born into like a system, it's going to be hard for you to think outside that box because that's all you've known.
That's true.
I
I
think
would
it
agree with
actually
that.
helps. It does help, because if not, because you realize that people that have lived with others, they have a
Yeah,
different mindset. It's just like, even within a country, somebody that has now, maybe you're from the east, you grew up in the east, you've only lived in the east,
yeah,
you would have a certain mindset against somebody from maybe the north or the south or whatever. But by the time you go and
exactly.
live with those people, you realize that it's not everything that you thought that was correct.
I
It
think
was
joblessness also
exactly.
plays a part in this, right? Because because I'll take for example, right? Like the Igbos have their beef with Yorubas and probably with the Hausas even more from Civil War history, right?
Mm,
but they come to Lagos, and because we're all hustling, there are many Igbos that are speaking Yoruba and probably Hausa too very fluently, because the money has to be made, cash money has to be brought home. It's the truth, right? So they may feel a certain way towards the other tribe, but we have a mutual interest to grow the money pot. So we're going to do what we need to do. Do you get what I'm saying? In some of these northern areas, there is nothing happening in these, like absolutely nothing. Just you have ample time to be angry, to hate, to be brainwashed, right? And so for me, I feel like whether it's education, whether it's, because to me, I feel like money is such a, in my opinion, money is such a powerful tool. I feel like if you're eating well and you have light in your house, and they say, please, go and attack this person as per political rally, even you go on this, you're like, is it by force? Is it needed? It's true, because you're comfortable. So why do you need to?
That is
Trust
why
yourself?
think so.
poverty
I
and
think
education is always like the poverty will be
there's a
kept
link.
there, and the education will not be given, so that the minds
People
can
would
be
just
used.
yes, and also I feel like when we say education and exposure, to be honest, I don't think it's even a money thing or kidney, because there are people who are educated, but they're educated based on what they want to know. So they don't open their minds up to. Because I remember when I went to America, and people were asking me that, oh, how come I'm speaking English?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know the news you're watching. And they were like, oh, how did I get to America? Like what? Like, oh, do
Goats.
we wear clothes? That, oh, do elephants
They live
go on the roads?
on the
And American
tree.
people these people are educated. Well, I don't know if they're exposed, but they're educated to an extent. But
No,
then
they are not
you have to
exposed. They are not
Exposed. No,
exposed.
yeah.
exactly, and you
That
have to
Yeah.
is,
broaden. Yeah, you have
many
to also
Americans
broaden.
don't, well, let me not say many, but I think there's a good amount that don't travel beyond the US.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you can even go to school, but are you really educated to what's going
Is
on around
exposure.
you? Are you exposed?
Mm.
So I feel like they're somehow linked. I think to be honest, I think exposure is even more important than education
I would agree
at
Yes.
with that.
times.
No, because if you define education,
Yeah.
education is everything you're putting. It mustn't be the education that we
Yes.
know of
That's true.
School.
primary, secondary school.
Yeah.
Because is this kind of thing, if once you're being exposed, you're educating yourself to other cultures,
Self.
to other this
Yeah. In
thing.
a
That is
different.
just it. So I think exposure and opening your mind, that now leads to education, because a lot of people
Yes.
are
Like
just one-sided, and the education they are getting is from that particular community, and they are now using it
yeah.
to base their whole life system.
Exactly. And for them, they're educated in their own kini, because the system, if it's a religion, that religion is educating you on what they think you
Yes,
should be taught.
yes.
So exposure is more important, I think, than even education to an extent.
I
And
think
I
that's
know,
what's causing problem, because now you see now,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine you'd have history of things where somebody from one village will say the people of the other village, they are witches and wizards, all
Yeah.
of them have three heads. But the only reason why they are not exposed to have gone over the
that's
river
true.
to go and see that they don't have
Mm-hmm.
three heads. Like
And for me, I think the other thing that and maybe this is back to exposure, 'cause I feel like the other problem that I think, and this is not only the North, I think the way we practice religion in Nigeria is that we
Yeah.
are heavily dependent on a man of God or an
mm,
imam
Yes, a leader.
to interpret um kind of
Have
what
a brain. Oh.
the Bible or the Quran is saying. Because for me, because certain things that, because I used to be very like hard on myself from like a Christian standpoint, but there's certain things that I was like,
Mm-hmm.
if God is the way we say, like as in God is
Yes.
love, God is patience. If that's really God, then is it going to is he really going to cancel me because I did X
Yeah.
or Y?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it did, because the same God has called us to not cancel people because they've done, as in, to forgive, be flexible.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how the same God is telling me that I should, try to work with people who will not work
Yes.
with me. Like I don't
mm,
Exactly.
understand that. So I don't know whether that's
Yeah.
exposure or but the way that it is being preached, I feel like it puts so much power in the hands of the leader. So whatever that leader
Yeah.
says is what's
And the
It
funny thing
is.
is, these leaders, they also, the way they preach based on what their own personalities are like and what they believe in. So you have your own belief system, but because you're used to or you were born into a certain type of, it's just like these Pentecostal churches. Some churches will tell you, oh, if you wear earring, you go to hell, or if you don't cover your hair, you go to hell. But it was like, okay, what, like, is it just you? You just don't like this thing, so you just put a
That's true.
doctrine and say people. So a lot of churches are just personalized according to the pastor's personality, I
Mm.
Because
guess, or his
now that
beliefs.
you say that, like, to me, it's like, where do you draw the line, right? Okay, so because
Yeah.
the jewelry thing was okay, so not, I guess, to not distract into things of the world, right? But like, if you buy an iPhone, isn't
No,
that
it wasn't
also allowed?
that. So
Oh, please explain us the something.
it was there was a place in the Bible where they use their jewelry, like they worship
Yeah, the
it as an
Israelites.
idol.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So God was like that's like, I'm
In the
condemning you for doing
Old
Old
Testament.
Testament, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
So we did
one
not move on according, even the Bible moved on,
exactly.
but
But
they are still in the past.
but to me, so we've locked in on jewelry, right? But doesn't that speak to a broader materialism culture, if that makes sense,
That is it.
right?
That's
Where
it.
we worship cars, or we worship
Exactly. It
iPhone.
doesn't have to be jewelry.
It has to be
That's the point.
jewelry. So for
Like,
me,
so
is
like,
maybe
what are you
that
preaching?
smells like patriarchy. It's a whiff. It's a fishy smell of patriarchy there, because to me, I'm like, we
What are you telling
worship
me?
so many
Mhm.
things. We worship so many things
Exactly. It
that
doesn't
are
have to be
distracting
earrings
us.
or jewelry. Yeah.
Even you can make an argument for like even sports. Even that men
Yes,
don't,
exactly.
as in, like,
You're
you don't mess
spending
with
time
their
on
sports day. Sports
yeah.
day, don't mess with it.
And these leaders, they won't understand it that way. They'll just tell you to, as a sheep, you're like, okay, I won't wear earring. Like, did you actually go? Because I always tell people, like, in religion, study your Bible and
Mm.
pray for Holy Spirit to inspire you. Don't just be looking at, oh, my pastor said this, because these people can mislead you.
See,
You don't
for
even
me,
know.
even beyond Bible, as in, I'm not saying don't read your Bible, but for me, my key crux is there are certain things that out of being a Christian and what I think God expects of me, right? I don't do,
Mm,
or I try to avoid. You cannot not tell me that the God that I'm trying
mm,
to be like is not doing something opposite. Like to me, that whole concept does not make
Mm.
sense to me, right? If God is forgiving, loving, all these things, then for some reason, because I not pay tithes, don't not be striking me. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't
See,
make sense to me.
do you know my issue, especially in this religion aspect? I believe that the Bible, sometimes even the Quran, I'm not sure, I wouldn't say I'm very sure
mm.
because I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Christian. But speaking of the Bible, there is so much misinterpretation, and most people just use it to put
Yes.
fear. It's more of a fear
Fear
and
and
rules and
control people.
regulation. But in the Bible, what we've realized is that when we now move up to the point of Jesus came and everything, it was now more of a
Mm-hmm.
relationship to better yourself, not necessarily
Yeah.
rules and regulations. This is what
Yeah.
you do. Even in the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest. Look at all those old
Mm-hmm.
Bible people like Abraham. They used to have conversations with God. It's not this one of back, back, back.
Mm-hmm.
The way I think the problem is that a
Exactly.
lot of people do these things based on the fact that, as you said, they just have this is how they feel about it. Maybe they feel that in their
Yes.
village
It's their own.
culturally, women are not supposed to wear
Yeah.
trouser. They now come and
Well,
put it that that is
that one, as in you guys,
that is it.
and they'll be like,
But are we going on a slippery slope to play devil's advocate? Because I saw a post recently
Mm,
mm,
about someone was saying that she had heard a preacher. I didn't hear it myself. That
mm.
someone had asked a preacher about, I think, premarital sex. I think something to that
mm, mm,
I think I heard that
line.
stuff.
Yeah, and the preacher was like, you know what? I don't really think God takes that thing like that. The way we're making it seem, that
mm,
and I guess her reason, or his reason for having that opinion, was that they've seen people who kept themselves and they married wrong, and they've seen people who were, busting it open
Mm.
from the
mm,
0.5,
mm,
and they end up in a good marriage. So I guess, but what I say that to say is, what is that line between, you know um I don't want to use the word rape,
Personal.
but what's that line between, maybe like, this is my own personal journey, right? So so I will walk it as I'm led, right? Versus there are particular lines in the sand. Like there are some rules that were not meant to, like, where is that line? Because the same way that, because I'm sure we on this thing now, because we will all say that, okay, we agree that the Bible said that we should not do premarital sex, right? But isn't that the same way that a deeper life guy would say, well, the Bible said that we should not wear a ring? Like, is it so, like aren't all of these rules?
Now, I work with, if you look at the Ten Commandments, I didn't see any don't wear earring there. I didn't.
Okay,
I
okay.
saw do
Yeah.
not commit adultery. I saw do not fornicate. I saw do not steal. To be
Yes.
honest, if you look at the Ten Commandments, for
Yeah.
example, and that's coming from the Old Testament, not even the New Testament, where you can say, if you look at the Ten Commandments, for example, you see that most of those rules are even rules that guide human beings in the world. That is, for example, if you go to
Our daily lives.
Federal
Yeah.
Republic of Nigeria, do not steal is in the constitution. If you steal and you're caught, or if you commit murder, you will be charged. So what I'm saying is that the
Yes.
Bible just gave you precursor. He said, don't do this, don't do this. And most of those things are, because like now the example you gave, that the pastor said, okay, for example, premarital sex, this is, he doesn't think God takes it, blah 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 blah. That's his opinion. You go and do. When you enter hot water now, you will know what to, because you can play that kind of thing. But I think it is even deeper than the fact of somebody kept
Yes.
themselves. I never saw them say, do not, like in the Bible they say, don't not have premarital sex. If you do, your
Yeah.
marriage will not be good. That's not what they said. That's one thing. I think that's one thing
Yes.
we make mistake of. We give ourselves the punishment that God did not give us. God did not say that the people who held themselves before marriage, their marriage will be good. He did not say that the people who did not hold themselves, their marriage will be bad. So I think that is where we make mistake. Is that kind of thing of understand why
I,
maybe you should not have premarital sex, in the sense that if you go and carry belle now, now for example, if you go and now have what they call it soul ties, or what they call it, now those kind of things. So I feel like it's a guide to say, in order to avoid bad buzz in life and avoid headache, don't do this thing, so that at least
yeah.
So
you will know that you might not enter problem.
so let me stay with you on that point, because the commit murder thing or the steal thing, like, the world is aligned to that in the sense that there are
Yes.
countries that have punishment for those things. But things like sex, or even like being homosexual now, right? We have evolved as a society where, like, that is not a big, that's not a big deal
It's no biggie. Yeah.
anymore. So for me, so do we take it as this is the guideline, like it is in your interests, right, to avoid these things? Thunder should not strike you if you choose not to, but you'll be better off. Let me put it that way. You'll be
Yeah.
better, because to me it's two things where you say that, okay, you are bad, or thunder will strike you if you do X. The one thing to say that, what, it is in your interests, right? So maybe thunder will not strike you,
Yeah.
and maybe God will not take it P per se, but it is in your interest. There's pregnancy, there's STDs, there's the toxic. So to me, I'm like, is that where we need to be going with it, or are there hard and fast? Because again, because the world is continually evolving. There was a time where even the saying that you're having premarital, outside is a big deal.
Problem.
Now I'm saying, yeah, boo.
No,
Last
I was
night,
saying that, how can you say you're a virgin? Like, come on.
exactly. So for
Yeah.
me, the world has
It's like
evolved.
nothing. Why you?
So does Christianity need to go along and say the rules are to help you,
It doesn't.
right? But you don't. But that will not strike you. That's basically where I'm trying to go with. So, if you're going to come in there.
I would say, like, the Bible, like with this virginity thing, because I know there was a time when I was like, why is it only women? Like, it's like the Bible is saying women should be virgins. Nobody's saying anything about men. But the same Bible in general tells us that our body is a temple of God. Now, normally, when growing up, they tell us that means abstaining from, like, because when you sin with your body, like, when you have sex, you sleep with someone, or when you're touching yourself, that, because masturbation is also apparently a sin. So they tell you that. So me, I'm not going to lie.
Apparently, okay. Sorry, go on.
I'm confused about that. But I know the Bible really says is a sin is adultery, right? And then I know homosexuality also is a sin in the Bible. Because, well, I don't know, that's what they got Sodom, I think, from Sodom and Gomorrah.
But the
Is
counter
it
arguments,
explicit? Does it
one,
state it like
two,
that?
I've heard this
There's a
Old
place,
Testament
yeah, it's
versus
in
New
the Bible.
Testament arguments on being gay. I've heard this whole maybe that was an Old Testament kinikon. In the new one, it's not
What's
really
that? Is it
talked.
Sodom?
No, but then
No,
do you
the
know what?
gayness.
Even the virginity thing. If you look at the Ten Commandments, doesn't it say? Do not fornicate.
I can't
I
remember.
can't remember. Let me see.
It does now.
Let's Google.
If it
No, it says
does,
do not commit adultery.
Oh, Lord,
but it
Google
doesn't talk
10
about
commandments.
it doesn't talk about fornication,
I don't
does
think it
it?
talked about. Yeah, I don't think there's any. Oh, let me see.
Let me read it. They say, so we did read the Bible here in this place. So where is 10 now? Okay,
No, we
thou shalt
read.
not. So I'm the Lord God that should have. So no strange gods. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. No, this is keep the Lord's day holy. Honor the
Yeah.
father and the mother. Don't kill. Don't commit
Yeah.
adultery. Don't steal.
Yeah.
Don't bear false witness against that. Don't lie. Basically, don't convert thy neighbor's wife, and don't convert their neighbor's good. So don't be like that truth. It is the right
All
10
right.
commandments.
Okay,
Like
Yeah,
I'm
should
this
be.
not.
is it. So, I'm confused.
There's
Anyway,
no fornication. Is that whole your body is the temple
all
of God,
right. Okay,
where
okay,
fornication
okay.
comes in. So it's like, if you're sleeping with somebody and it's sweeting you, then it's not sweeting God.
Wait,
Yeah.
but if it doesn't suit you, then is it okay? So that's it. You
That
it's between
no,
you.
I know that
So if it doesn't suit
that
you, does that change the game?
that you
Hmm.
get. So I mean,
There is
adultery is
no
definitely a
fornication
sin,
actually. There
but
actually is no fornication here actually.
yeah,
All
there's no
right. I didn't know
fornication.
that too. I didn't know that. I thought, why did I think? But there's a place in Bible that fornication is there, Shebi. I believe so. Not like in a Ten Commandment, do not fornicate, but that fornication
Like,
word is in the Bible. I heard it first. That's what I'm saying. So I'm surprised that it's not in
No,
the Ten
but did you
Commandments.
read this or were you told? That's the key point now.
My
Did you read this?
sister, I'm
okay, well,
wondering. Oh, I'm
I think
wondering.
there's a place in
Because
Hebrews 13 verse 4.
hey, I became ready today. Oh.
I come. I mean, what can I say?
Okay, Hebrews once again is
Well,
that
let me
Hebrews
see.
13. Let
Hebrews
us
13 4. Let me see. What does it
Hebrews
say? It says,
13.
okay, no, this is marriage. No, marriage should
Ah,
be honored by all, and let the marriage bed be unpolluted. Okay, yeah, for fornicators, I mean, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. So I guess that's
See,
fornication.
see, ladies, can I just say something that knowledge is power? Let us go
As
back
in,
and read our Bible because from what I can see here with my two eyes, I don't know what fornication is, but I believe it's somewhere, and I believe me. I just generally want to say I believe that it is more. I see the Bible and religion as like a cheat sheet in like, okay, before you go into the world, these are the things that we are telling you is not good. Just try it. Don't do it. If you don't do it, you're
there's
better off.
yes,
I think that's the word. It's like you're better
Yes.
yeah.
off.
Yes,
Yeah,
but then people have misinterpreted it and added
that thunder may
culture to
strike you.
that and added culture to it, and
Yeah,
now come to say they've now come to say I don't think
we've
God ever
added
even said
culture
God would.
and a reward system. And that's where the whole issue of
Yes, and
she married a virgin and the husband.
you get
They've added
and
Yeah.
a reward to
if
it
we
too.
really look at the Bible, in all these things, they didn't say if you do this, for example, this is what will happen to you. You're in the
There's
Ten
no promise
Commandments.
of a good marriage. Even this adultery, I don't think
Eh,
it says so. Therefore, you have a good marriage.
you get,
Like it's
but
not there.
then we have added our own and the world now,
Mm-hmm.
and people are now expecting. They say, okay, after all I did, being a virgin, this is what I get.
You
People will
get,
now be adding it.
and
But
I
then
think
you were,
patriarchy
is that the
also.
reason? Is that the
Because,
reason why you were a virgin? Were
yes.
you a virgin because you wanted to, like, you understood the reason why you wanted to be, or you were just doing because you want to collect reward? It's just like this thing of, are you giving somebody something because you want to give, because they say if you give, you will receive? So it's that kind of thing.
Mm,
I don't know, Sha. It's a tricky one. People have misinterpreted it. This fornication, I'm going to go and really deal with it because check it
No, their
because
passage,
now
fornication, it
there are.
says run. They say run from sexual sin. This one says yes, like run away from sin of the body. Run away from it. Fornication, cleanness. Let it not be named once. I mean, among you, Ephesians. I'm seeing like some passages about.
So they are
fornication.
warning you. They didn't
Yeah,
say.
they are warning you. Yeah, so that's what they're saying. Don't. Fornication is apparently it's a sin, but I think adultery is more of a it's the
No,
bigger
now
one of
that
the
one
two.
because you've entered covenant with somebody. What are you doing outside?
Exactly.